Today on Aqua Kids.
Come join the Aqua Kids as they go seining in Sandy Hook Bay in New Jersey to monitor the diverse marine life of the area.
Aqua Kids, doing what we have to do. Saving our earth, land, air, and sea. All we gotta do is keep it green and blue. For me and you. Aqua Kids.
Welcome to Aqua Kids. I'm Hannah Jones. Today we're at Sandy Hook Bay.
Hey guys! Hey! What are we going to be doing today, Hannah?
We're going to be learning about what lives in this bay.
Like what?
Well, I'm not sure. That's why we're going to be seining.
I'm glad we'll have the waiters.
They'll definitely help. Let's get started.
All right. Hey!
Oh, hello.
How are you guys?
Great, how are you?
Fine, thanks. Tell us what we're doing today.
Well, we're actually going to be taking out the seine nets into our shallow water estuary habitat here.
Okay.
And hopefully we're going to collect a lot of fish and crabs and other creatures that live here in our estuary here at Sandy Hook.
Oh, do you guys find the same animals all throughout the year?
Actually, no. Depending on the season and also the water temperature, we can get different animals. Like today, we'll see it's starting to warm up. We were getting a lot of shrimp, and maybe today we'll actually start getting a lot of fish and the bigger animals that are out here instead of the really small little grass shrimp and the small species. The bigger stuff is starting to come
Well,
in.
the interesting thing about the seasons is now we're heading into summer, so a lot of the fish and the crabs have been spawning, and there'll be babies out there. So that will be some of the things we'll catch in the net today.
That sounds cool. Have you guys ever found anything you didn't expect to find?
Yeah, actually, sometimes we get tropical species that come up here, that get caught in the warm currents during the summer. And one time I caught a butterfly fish, which typically live in Florida or in the Caribbean.
Pete, what have you found?
Well, I don't get out as much as often, but when I've been out here, I've found some things like goatfish, which is also tropical. Sometimes we get southern temperate species like south of North Carolina. We get the shrimp you eat at a restaurant. And so they're not native up here, but sometimes they get caught in the currents as well and get brought up here.
I think it's time to get wet. Let's get started.
Sounds good.
As soon as Aqua Kids returns, we'll find out what they caught.
Now it's time for Aqua Quiz with your host, Drew Cruz.
Oh, I'm your host, Drew Cruz, and now it's time to test your knowledge with Aqua Quiz. Sandy Hook Bay sits in the shadow of New York City and the ports of New York and New Jersey. Sandy Hook Bay is called the region's urban estuary. Estuaries have been called the nurseries of the sea because the protected environment and abundant food supply provide an ideal location for fish and shellfish to reproduce. What type of water is found in an estuary? Is it A, freshwater, B, saltwater, or C, brackish water? I'll have the answer after the break. Have you come up with the answer for what type of water is found in an estuary? Well, the answer is C, brackish water. Brackish water is a mixture of fresh and salt water that provides habitat and abundant food sources for many species of fish and shellfish. I'll be back next week with another captivating Aqua Quiz.
Welcome back to Aqua Kids. Let's get seining.
Okay, you guys ready? Let's go seining. We're going to walk over here because it's a better place to go into the water.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to stop here, talk about the net, and then we'll go in. How's that sound?
All right.
Okay, so again, just a little dry land experience. The float line's on top, the lead line's on the bottom, and when we pull the seine through the water, we want to keep the bottom post. You might want to tap it like that on the bottom. It'll just run along the bottom. We'll have to watch out for snags. And then we get back to shore, we'll see what's in the net.
I think we're ready to get started.
So keep coming in, you're good.
Oh, we got lots of crabs. Oh, we got a baby flounder here.
Do we got one?
It's a baby winter flounder. If you guys look, you can see its eyes. This is a newborn.
Aw.
But its eyes are on the left side of its head.
And it's interesting, a flounder looks like a regular fish, like a baby fish, when it hatches. And as it grows, the eyes rotate around its head. And so for a winter flounder, which is a right-eyed flounder, it falls onto its left side, and so it's right dominant like that. A summer flounder, as it develops from looking at the regular fish, falls onto its right side, so its left eyes, both eyes are on top, so the right eye moves.
What do you have in your hand?
I have a couple different species of shrimp. The ones I have in my hand right now are called sand shrimp, and they get a little bit bigger. And interestingly, these are females, and they have the egg sponge, if you will, of all the eggs on the bottom.
Are they common here?
They're very common, one of the most common shrimps in the area.
This is a calico crab, also known as a lady crab. You see they're a little aggressive, kind of like a blue claw crab if you're familiar with them. You see there are 2 claws, and then they have 10 pairs of legs, and that bottom leg you can see here, try to stretch it out. That's actually a paddle leg, because these guys can actually swim through the water, unlike most crabs which actually crawl around in the water. So they use these paddles to help them swim. There's the little eye stalks, and they get their name because of the pattern on their shell. That's their common name.
It's a really pretty pattern.
Yep. You also have the nickname lady crab because of the blue purpley spots on them. Makes them look like a lady.
So what else do we have over there?
Here's our spider crab.
This is the spider crab compared to the lady crab here. The spider crabs live on the bottom as well. They move around in the macroalgae. They kind of look like a spider. They got long, skinny legs. Of course, like as a crab, they have 10 legs. Spiders only have 8. Okay, and they also decorate themselves. They can paste algae and stuff, and they let stuff grow. So it helps camouflage them in the environment. Okay. As an interesting thing, as you've seen, a lot of the eggs are small, so a lot of the babies are real small, and they drift around in the estuary or in the ocean, and they're called plankton. But the interesting thing, as the babies grow, some of the babies of these spider crabs will take a ride on jellyfish until they grow up and are ready to settle.
So like the plankton in SpongeBob?
Well, yes, they drift around like the plankton in SpongeBob, but in SpongeBob, the plankton is a thing called a copepod, and it lives its whole life floating around in the water, while a crab larvae, whether the lady crab or the spider crab, will metamorphose into a baby crab and then settle on the bottom. So they don't live their whole life. But yes, plankton is that thing that we just talked about.
Is there anything else interesting in the bucket?
Well, here I have a baby, very tiny, probably just hatched a few days
Oh my
ago,
gosh.
pipefish. Now, pipefish is a cousin to the seahorse. You can think of it as you look at it, you might think it's like an eel, but it's actually more related to the seahorse. It's just straightened out, shaped like a pipe. These guys, when they get bigger and the male and the female decide to have babies, though actually the male has a pouch on its belly that holds all the babies, and when the babies are ready to go, he'll release them out of his belly. So kind of role reversal.
So how big do they get?
Probably a max 8 to 10 inches long, maybe about an inch wide, so not too big. You can see their small mouth there, if you can make it out. It's like a straw. They actually suck in the food. So they eat plankton, which are tiny little microscopic animals and plants. And that's how they get their food, is just going around. They like to hide in the seaweeds, and that's how they find shelter. If you look at a lot of the seaweed, they blend right in. Hard to see them with lots of seaweed around them.
What great fun! Don't go away. Aqua Kids will be right back. Welcome back to Aqua Kids. Now we're going to take a look at a creature whose form has been around since prehistoric times.
Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the creature known as a horseshoe crab.
Horseshoe crab? What's a horseshoe crab?
Well, it's this creature right here. So, see how he got his name, the horseshoe crab, by the horseshoe shape of his shell. So, if you look at him, you can see his long tail right here. The tail's they actually use for swimming. Then they'll actually use their tail for flipping themselves over when coming up onto the beach. Now they generally live out in our estuaries or in deeper waters, but this time of year, during the full moon and high tides in May and June, they actually come up onto our beaches to lay their eggs. Okay, so you can also see its claws. This is its mouth right here. And as you look at it, what animal do you think it's more closely related to?
A spider?
Great job. Now, a lot of people think crabs because of its name, but it is more closely related to a spider. This pair of claws right here, they're called chelicerae, which would be almost akin to the fangs of a spider, but unlike a spider, these guys are harmless. They don't pinch, they don't sting. You can see they'll try to pinch me, but it's no more than you can pinch yourself with your 2 fingers. And their tail, lots of people think the tail's going to sting them.
That tail looks really dangerous. Can you tell me about it?
Well, it's actually not dangerous at all. It doesn't have any venom or anything that can hurt you. You see, it's just attached by a small muscle right here. And when it comes up onto the beach, sometimes a wave will come and knock it over. And just like it's doing right now, it'll press that tail down into the ground and help flip itself back over. You never want to pick up a horseshoe crab by its tail because of that one little weak muscle. That would be like me picking you up by your thumb or by your ear, and you could actually rip the tail off of the horseshoe crab.
Ooh.
And then if he would come up onto the beach, get knocked upside down by a wave, he's going to be stranded where he'll probably be preyed upon either seagulls, other birds, or raccoons or foxes that come along the beaches. So never pick them up by their tails. If you ever see a horseshoe crab up on the beach, you can always just gently pick them up by their sides and help them back down to the water. Like I said, there's nothing on them that's going to harm you. Its claws aren't strong enough to pinch hard. Its mouth right here are like little bristles. These are its gills. And then you can see it's got some little spikes and little hairs on it. The little spikes will actually be used where a fish or another animal that wants to prey upon it might try to take a bite out of it. They get a mouthful of spines and they're like, bleh, and they spit them back out and swim away.
What do they eat?
Well, they actually eat small worms, shrimp, soft-shell clams. They're also scavengers, so sometimes they'll find dead things on the bottom of the seafloor and they'll eat that too.
Are they endangered in any way?
Well, actually, that's a good point. They actually are an endangered species. Here in New Jersey, there's actually a moratorium on capturing them. They used to use these guys as their shells as fertilizer. We don't eat them, so they're not very tasty, but they would use them as bait for other animals that we like to eat. But no longer here in New Jersey are you allowed to do that. These guys are very important to the ecosystem and to the whole food web, really. There is a bird, a small little bird that actually makes a very long migration all the way from South America up to the tip of the Arctic.
Wow.
And they stop along the shores, along the Jersey shore, especially here at Sandy Hook. And as these animals are spawning and laying their eggs, the red knots will actually come and eat those eggs. And that's the only thing they eat during their migration. So without horseshoe crab eggs, the red knot is not going to survive. And actually now the red knot is also an endangered species because of less and less horseshoe crabs in our environments. And so there's been great efforts, especially here in New Jersey, to try to preserve these animals.
Hey guys, I have a baby.
Aw, look at it.
So one of the things that horseshoe crabs are actually used for is their blood is used in the medical industry, and they have a chemical called limulus amoebolysate, and their blood can actually detect toxins in medicines and vaccines.
Wow. I've heard there's something different about their blood.
Yeah, their blood is actually blue because it's copper-based, unlike human blood that's red because it's iron-based.
Wow.
So you can see, they're not just important to the ecosystem, they're important to all of mankind.
Oh, hi. I'm so glad you're here. You know, it always excites me to meet young people who love to protect the earth as much as I do. Young people who are pioneering powerful ways to conserve and protect our planet for all of us. I call them eco-defenders. Let's find out what they're up to.
Young people in general are not only uniquely capable, but we have no other choice but to make the shift towards a more sustainable way of life in general. I'm Jatropha Shivakumar, and I'm trying to create a more sustainable way of life in rural South India to help poor farmers and the environment.
With the help of his sister Apurva and the cash prize that he received for winning the California State Spelling Bee, Adarsha founded Project Jatropha to promote the Jatropha plant as an ecologically friendly and economically sustainable source of biofuel in rural India.
If we as a generation fail, everybody's going to pay the price. But if we succeed, we're not only going to save ourselves, but we're going to save future generations and this planet. Every 2 years, we actually go to India, and we decide to see if we can actually do anything instead of just all talk and no action doesn't really help anybody in the end. And after quite a bit of research, we came upon this plant called Jatropha.
Jatropha grows almost anywhere and is particularly suited to the climate of southern India. When the seeds are crushed, the resulting oil can be processed to create a high-quality and clean-burning biodiesel that emits negligible greenhouse gases.
Right now, they're growing tobacco. The big thing was that tobacco is a rather destructive crop. You can really see the scale of the industry here. In order to sell tobacco, you must cure it. And curing involves burning large quantities of firewood in order to do so.
The increasing demand for firewood has led to deforestation in the nearby Nagarhole and Rajiv Gandhi National Park and Wildlife Sanctuary.
And what's really bad is the government is not offering any alternative crops.
Adarsha enlisted local company Labland Biotechs to provide the farmers with high-quality seedlings and education in effective Jatropha cultivation.
We evenly distributed 1,000 Jatropha seedlings among these farmers, and in addition we gave them some agronomic training because we wanted to make sure that they could really utilize this plant to their full potential.
The Jatropha plants reach maturity in 2 to 3 years, when the farmers can harvest the seeds and sell them back to Labland Biotechs for 10 rupees per kilogram.
Labland Biotechs will convert these seeds into biodiesel via using a mechanical process. Every part of the Jatropha seed is used, and every chemical is reused over and over. And that's what makes it really, really cool. Right now, what India is trying to do is that it's mandating a certain amount of biofuel from Jatropha oil specifically has to be used in trains and buses. And that, since there are quite a few trains and buses in India as a whole, that means there's a pretty large market for this biofuel. With the profits that we'll make, some of it can go back to the farmers. For the rest of it, what we're going to do is we're going to reinvest it into the system and buy more Jatropha seedlings to give to more farmers. We're going to have a small nursery built at Parivartana where the farmers can sort of pick up Jatropha seedlings. If we get a nursery going in Parivartana, that will mean the farmers are truly self-sufficient. We need to have a sense of duty, not just to each other, but to planet Earth. And in my view, it's that if there's any goal that my generation should have, it's to save the planet first and then save humanity. Because even if we win and we save humanity but the planet dies, we can't live without it either.
Wasn't that amazing? Okay, now it's your turn. If you or someone you know is doing something remarkable to help our planet, let us know about it, and you could be our next eco-defender. I gotta go.
Aqua Kids will be right back.
Hey, it's Drew. Join the Aqua Kids next week as we reveal how the Masonville Cove Environmental Education Center is sitting on a former industrial wasteland.
I'm Jalen, and this is Earth Edition. There is a very important balancing act that we humans need to support. Within this balance, all living things depend on one another for survival. And the variety in these different types of life found on Earth is called biodiversity. When biodiversity is compromised, it has far-reaching consequences. Threats to biodiversity include habitat destruction from overbuilding and pollution, overconsumption of plants, fish, and natural resources, invasive species that do not fit into the local ecosystem, and global warming that affects living things that are unable to adapt to climate change. Biodiversity changes occur naturally, but in modern times, mankind's progress has had the most negative impact. Nature conservation can be traced back for centuries, but the real focus has been since the mid-1900s after the Industrial Revolution, when modern marvels made it easier to exploit our resources. It's up to each of us to do our part to help the ecological balancing act. We all can preserve our Earth through our own conservation efforts, at home, school, work, our community, and through local global initiatives that support nature conservation. I'm Jalen, and this has been Earth Edition.
Welcome back to Aqua Kids.
Well, it was really exciting to hear that the Aqua Kids were coming. I was told about it by other members of our community that knew about it. I said, this is a great idea, so I was thrilled to come out. It's been a great day. The kids were really excited and really wanted to learn what is going on in our marine and estuarine habitats, and we got to see a lot of cool stuff today, and this will go a long way to helping other kids that watch the program learn about our marine and estuarine environments.
Wow, we have definitely had a full day today. We learned how to seine, we pulled up the organisms that live in the bay, and to top it off, we got to play with horseshoe crabs.
I didn't know that horseshoe crabs had blue blood. What an amazing fact!
Yeah, and the pipefish related to the seahorse. What a cool thing!
Absolutely. Remember, it's up to you to keep it green and blue. Protect our planet, and we'll see you next time on Aqua Kids. Bye!
Aqua Kids, Aqua